It is very unfortunate that the government have perfected the act of propaganda and lies. Seriously.
Where is the lie?
Look, the girl did not escape anywhere. The truth is that when this thing happened, the girls went to hide somewhere around the school. They went into hiding while these people were doing their thing. These girls managed to go and hide.
They were not kidnapped.
They were never. If not, ask yourself, how could the 50 of them escape?
Well, so where did you get the information?
The information is out there. That was what the police said. Go and read today's paper. That is the God tell us that some girls that went into hiding have rejoined their parents and the school. That is the better way of saying, instead of telling me that they escaped. Because you and I know that it is not possible for 50 of them to escape from the hands of the bandits. It's not possible.
Is it even possible for 50 to go into hiding?
I said they were hiding. They were hiding away from this terrorists when they stormed the school. It is within the perimeter fence outside. Outside, like this is the wall, and they went at the back.
So the government is being insincere with the information.
I am coming just to clarify to a point. Now you are not claiming that they escape, but you don't tell us how they escape. Please, for God's sake, even if we are that or that everybody in Nigeria is a zombie, how could the 50 girls escape from the terrorist den? And they didn't make any move to recapture them. How far could that go? In the forest, they just managed to escape. How? Nothing. You see this government, they keep annoying people, seriously. Anyway, I am not amused because when Nnamdi Kanu was sentenced on Thursday last week, the prosecutor from the government side said that now that Nnamdi Kanu has been sentenced, that there will be security, insecurity will die in the southeast, in the south, in the southwest, that there will now have peace. Go and look at what he said. Moses, just over the weekend, this lie have you not been exposed? Because every other thing Nnamdi Kanu. Everything that happened in the Kano. Now look at that propaganda. Have you not been punctured? I expected that man to talk now.
Wow. Wow. You see, look, we are still on the matter. I want you to please take your time, listen to this video, because you know since yesterday a lot of news saying that 52 has been escaped from 315 students that were kidnapped from Niger State. And 38 of those that were kidnapped from CAC Church in Eruku, Kwara State has been rescued, and no dime were paid to the kidnapper. No ransom were paid to them, and a lot of issues like that. You know, the problem of this government is they think they are just the only, when they speak, they think they are the only members to also listen to whatever they say, and everybody should just agree, believed in whatever they said, and that is the major problem they are having. Because by the time they speak this today, another thing, they contradict themselves, because some of them, they do not consult each other before they speak. Somebody speak whatever he thinks he's going to say to in favor of the government. The other one also doing the same thing. At the end of the day, this one said this one said that. They contradict themselves. By the time we try to fact check them, bring out fact to see what you said was wrong, then they started looking for another way to cover up. If you tell lies, you need 10 more lies to cover that particular one. And if you fail to do so, you are not smart enough, then you become a joker. Do you understand? Because people will regard you as somebody who is not truthful. That's why it's always good to be straightforward and direct. Be truthful to yourselves. What is going on in the country today? Is which state in this, or which state or which region that is peaceful today? That is peaceful. You can boldly say this thing, it has not happened in your state, but your state is peaceful. If it does not get to you today, it's going to get to your this thing. But we don't want all those things. That's why we are here talking, making it. The government should sit up and do the needful. Every part of the country needs to be safe and be protected. So take your time, listen to this video. You know, Tinubu yesterday, he said he had a meeting, emergency meeting with some of the ministers concerning security reasons. Now listen to this security expert who explained what Tinubu did. That meeting was nonsense, was rubbish. If you talk, we want to have a meeting concerning security, how to tackle issues. People that were supposed to be on that meeting were not there. So the people you have meeting with, they are not in any way connected, or their positions in not in security field. So why holding meeting with them? What is their business? So that one was not a meeting concerning security. Now listen to experts say something. We'll come back and talk about it. To like, share, comment, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. I'll be your guy, runner for me now.
That is it. I expected you to come and tell us how Nnamdi Kanu is the problem that is going on now. Because he said it, that we didn't have the kind of sentences. There will be peace in Nigeria.
Barrister, is that what he said?
Go and check it. What are you telling? Is that what he said?
Barrister, what I heard him say was that with the sentence of Nnamdi Kanu, that the innocent people that were killed, that their soul will not have respite. Yes.
That was what he said.
Yes, that was what I heard.
No, okay, I'm telling you what I heard. He said I repeat.
Okay, that's what you heard. Have you heard a different?
Yes, he had different thing, yes.
And the judge said what he said.
Exactly.
So, that's okay. But let's keep it within.
Because even at that, please, even at that, was it not Nnamdi Kanu that was blamed for all the insecurity? Even the one that happened in Lagos here. You had the guy that hit
let's not make it an Nnamdi Kanu conversation.
So what I'm saying is that this thing that is happening now, it's very painful, seriously. You know when you are wearing the shoe, you know where it's pinching. That you see that young man.
Should we applaud the president because he seems to be hands-on right now? He cut short his trip, and we've seen the results of that. The 38 CAC church members that were kidnapped have regained their freedom. Should at least.
So where are the kidnappers?
What do you think happened?
Fine. The same thing that happened before. Listen very well. When the Dirty Girls was kidnapped, Dirty Girls, it is the same process, the same modus operandi. On the day they struck, everywhere was cleared. No police, no army, no DSS. And they came with 15 Hilux trucks to take away these girls. And this was the place that was under curfew. In fact, I don't know how Nigeria, I don't know. We just allow everything they tell us, everything that happened. Nobody asks, nobody talks.
The governor of Borno State, where Governor Babagana Zulum has said, look, today has been declared work-free day. So there will be fasting and praying in Borno State.
Really? So
what do you make of that?
This is the first time I've been. This is the first time. You can imagine. Just like that US congressman said that instead of the president to take serious step to arrest this insecurity,
something that we need.
We part of it. We are sending enemies here and there. We're closing down the school to play. You can imagine. How can this solve the problem?
All right. Okay. But Barrister, we also understand that the worshippers, the 38 worshippers at the Christ Apostolic Church in Eruku, somewhere in the state now, Nigeria,
in Kwara
State, have regained their freedom. Okay, like you also understand that. Look, how does that fit into the debate, the ongoing debate about Christian genocide and all of that? Because a few people are saying, look, this could have been state managed. In the heat of the moment, take away these Christians and bring them back. No impression. But that fits into that.
Not only that. Look at how it happened. All of a sudden, after taking all the risk, they took away the girls. And when there was a too much hoopla, they returned them. Go easy, come easy. Are you telling me here now that the government have made effort?
Were they really returned?
Well, people died. People died in that.
Yes, people they know that did they return them? Let them tell us, because these terrorists, they can't take all these risks and return their captors for nothing. It's not possible.
I don't believe it. It's
not possible. Look, I can bet my last couple. Money was paid because they cannot take that risk for nothing. Why did they kidnap them in the first place? Or was it not because of money? The first reason for kidnapping those girls was for money, nothing else. So how could you not return them without the money?
So Barrister, if money was paid, if ransom was paid, then it detracts from the theory that look, it was make believe, just to create the impression that there is.
Of course, because of the hoopla, because of what is going on. So they don't want the government to look bad. So the government quickly arrange something so that
since we don't know for sure if ransom was paid, it's just a postulation. We're just trying to analyze it. But should it matter if ransom is paid by maybe the government to release kidnapped victims? Should it matter? Or the fact that people that have been kidnapped have been released?
It matters because the people that consider, because we are talking of Christian genocide, that's not true. It matters because the people that consider it are Muslim terrorists. It matters. I wanted them to tell me that it was Christians terrorists that did all these things. So all the things that is happening today, they are all profess the same religion.
But I asked my question in light of the fact that if kidnapped victims are reunited with their families, there'll be joy. Now, the families may not care how they were brought back, whether it was negotiation, whether it was invasion, they will not care much. But should Nigerians be worried? Or what will the international community think that there was probably ransom payments by government or its allies or proxies to ensure that people are kidnapped? What does that portend in with the fight against insecurity?
Look, in the first place, should it happen? That's the first thing you ask yourself. After all that has been going on over the years, should we be talking about this at this point in time? The answer is capital no. So why is it happening? Even when America was threatened, these guys didn't care. They still continue with their business. So that will tell you that this thing is deeper than you and I are looking at it. It's deeper. we are going to live with this thing maybe in the next 100 years. That is the impression I'm getting here. Except something serious is done by this government or any other government, this thing will not go away. It doesn't look like it will go away very soon. It doesn't look like, because the profit is so high. They are making money, they are cashing out. That is the first thing. And so, why do you want a business that is trying to stop? Please tell me. When there are so many girls and so many schools to kidnap and make money, why would you want it to stop?
Should there be some sort of agreement between the government of Nigeria and these bandits to ensure that other bandits will not invade Nigeria? We heard Sheikh Gumi on this station some days back, where he said, look, Nigeria should negotiate with bandits so they can protect the forest, they can protect the borders.
Can you imagine?
And they need Nigeria should be ready to spend money. That's what he said.
Can you imagine?
That the government of Nigeria should be ready to spend money to protect the borders,
so
that these bandits will protect against other invaders, the Lakurawas and the Wolwolus and the rest of them. But those are other invaders. So we have other actors in this field. Should that be a consideration?
Look, a dog cannot eat a dog. You know that.
But we saw that play out in Borno with killings between ISWAP and the Boko Haram. So they kill themselves.
No, they are looking for territorial control. That was what happened there.
That's the reason a dog might eat a dog.
No, territorial control. And maybe after that, did they go away? No, they still control their territory. That we are encroaching on my territory can cause problem among terrorists. But that does not stop what they are doing. All this one going to say, who protect you? You are using bandit terrorists to protect your forest. How does this sound in your ear? So we should be paying them so that we can live in peace and be terrorists.
But we use the militants to protect the pipelines.
Look, Mr. Moses, please, Nigeria have lost it. When discussion have gotten to this level, Nigeria have lost it.
Barrister, you said something about this business being
very profitable.
Very profitable.
Yes.
Barrister, is it about business or is it about politics? Because we also hear some people say, look, this thing is being orchestrated to ensure that they make this country ungovernable, a section of the country ungovernable, and create the impression that the government is irresponsible and unable to protect lives and property of people.
The government.
So you don't need any political conspiracy?
No. It's the political will to do the needful. Because government is look, who is that individual that is more powerful than government? Tell me.
Barrister, I'm sorry to cut you short. That is my question is this. Now you said that this business is thriving because they are making a lot of money.
Yes.
And government is not doing anything.
Yes.
That is one strand of the argument.
Exactly.
Then there's another that says, look, these things are orchestrated, like between 2014 and 2015, the kidnap of the Chibok girls, the heightened insecurity to paint the Jonathan government, in bad light. Now we have seen a resurgence of all of this ahead of 2027. So when you say it is business for these people, are you removing the political angle to it? Because people believe it's also politically motivated.
No. It is the political angle that is fueling it. If it is not political, then tell me why government will be looking the other side when these guys are operating and doing their thing. Or have you not heard stories that that school was being manned by security agencies until somebody gave them order to leave that place, and 30 minutes after the terrorists came in? What does that tell you? Do you need anybody to tell you what's going on here?
Or is it political or economic?
It's political. There's a political interest that are fueling this thing. Yes, in political interest, not in the economy. It is the politics of it that you need to be worried about, because we are playing politics with the life of your people. That's the truth. Who gave that order that those people should leave that place? Who?
That's the next question I want to ask. You made mention of that girl. I saw the stories around it. And the same thing played out in Kebbi State, where we learned, according to the information made available to newsmen, that military personnel were there until a certain time. When they leave, and it wasn't up to 1 hour thereabouts after they left the place, we saw the bandit strike. Here on the cover page of the National Daily, I think the Blueprint newspaper today, we learned that the defense headquarters have decided that they are going to probe claims of claims of troops withdrawal before the Kebbi school abduction. Now juxtapose it with what some Nigerian soldiers have come up to tell Nigerians about how they are willing to engage these people, even with a little weapon that they have, and they will got orders saying, don't do this, don't do that, withdraw. And we do see them sometimes when they make videos, a ceasefire, don't shoot, even when they know that is a necessary thing to do.
Have you seen where politics came in? The person that is doing this thing, does it mean well for you and I? The answer is no. If they have taken care of the dirty girl, this one would not have happened. The person that gave that order in that of that, I am sure he is still operating till today, and he will still continue to operate even till tomorrow, because no will to rein them in. You're supposed to ask who gave you order to leave your charge. Yes, nobody do that.
Barrister, thank you very much.
You know another one will happen. I will come to talk about it.
Well, it's frustrating really to see the continuation of
since the 80s, at Asini riot and all of that. Committees at the Abisoye-led panel, the various panels of inquiry on the just crisis, but no results up to 2025. Now, in more recent times, we have had some kind of physiology, security architecture, kinetic, non-kinetic, but the situation seems to be getting worse. More persons have been abducted in the last 10 days alone in Nigeria than at any other time. So what is the problem? What are we dealing with? The failure of the state, the incompetence of the intelligence agencies, or just the fact that kidnapping and violence has become business and the state is not addressing criminality? What do you think? And how do we build peace going forward?
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. It's unfortunate that we have to discuss this subject matter again. And the most important reason why we are going through this cycle of national security breaches again and again is very simple. Successive administration, with the exception of very few, are willing to follow to the letter their own manifesto, for example. They are unwilling to obey the Constitution the way they should obey it, even though the President Commander-in-Chief, when he's taking the oath of office, oath of allegiance, do normally subscribe to the fact that he will obey and implement and defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Unfortunately, this is not. I'll give you an instance. The incumbent administration campaigned on the notion of a renewed hope agenda. And on the 5th page of that renewed hope agenda manifesto of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, it is written that the national security of the Nigerian state, which happens to be the first cardinal important trajectory for his manifesto, says that national security is considered to be the bedrock of a prosperous and democratic society. And to this end, the fundamental, and I'm quoting now, permit me to read, the fundamental responsibility of government is to protect the lives and property of its citizens. We will mobilize the totality of our national security, military, and law enforcement assets to protect all Nigerians from danger and from the fear of danger. We will expand and improve upon the use of technology, enhance recruitment of personnel, and bolster existing agencies and systems to achieve this fundamental goal. And it proceeded to say our administration will be committed to permanently securing the safety, freedom, and prosperity of all Nigerians. These 2 paragraphs from his renewed hope agenda gave us an understanding that he has a clear-cut idea about what has to be done. But unfortunately, today is the 910th day in office as President Commander-in-Chief. And today being the 910th day, we can see that the Constitution has not been obeyed to the letter, which is the bane of most administration. Yesterday, a meeting held at the State House complex in the office of the President Commander-in-Chief. Painfully, this meeting was reported that the President was meeting with a group of people called service chiefs. Unfortunately, by the virtues of the provisions of the Constitution, a president does not meet with service chiefs. The President Commander-in-Chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces only meets in Security Council provided for by the Constitution and or the Defense Council, of which service chiefs are members. Yesterday, at best, what we can describe held yesterday was a communication strategy meeting, because when you look at those who were in attendance, you had Bayo Ononuga, the Special Advisor on Information, you had Sunday Dare, and then you have a minister who hitherto was in charge of Information and Strategy, Dele Alake, and then you have the incumbent Minister of Information and Orientation, Idris. It therefore means that yesterday was not a proper meeting that had to do with security matters. Because if they had a meeting that had to genuinely do with security matters, it should have been held at Security Council. And permit me, Dr. Abati, to read from the Constitution the case section of the 3rd schedule that talks about the national security. The membership of the National Security Council shall comprise the following members: the President, who shall be the chairman; the Vice President, who shall be the Deputy Chairman; the Chief of Defense Staff; the Minister of Government of the Federation charged with the responsibility for internal affairs, that's the Minister of Interior; the Minister of the Government of the Federation that is charged with the responsibility for defense; the Minister of the Government of the Federation charged with the responsibility for foreign affairs; the National Security Advisor; the Inspector General of Police; and such other persons as the President may in its discretion appoint. Dr. Abati, you were privileged to have served in the State House complex and the presidency of the Nigerian state. And you do understand that if you do not hold council meetings, and it is expected of these statutory members that are going to come to Security Council, they must come with council memos, which will allow us to discuss issues. Yesterday, we had a press statement issued by the Saturday Bayo Ononuga again, talking about the fact that they needed to demobilize away from the VIP's policemen. That is good. We have always talked about this over and over again, and that they were now going to shift the responsibility to the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. How can you discuss such a matter, an inchoate meeting where the Minister of Interior, who is the supervising minister of the entity called the Nigerian Security, Civil and Defense Corps. So we are where we are today in terms of the security breaches and challenges that we are having, primarily because the people that have been occupying offices in the last 10 years in particular, 2015 till date, have not been sincere to obey the Constitution. I thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Fagbemi, for your opening statement. Now, to probe further, some of the interventions, orders by the president since these kidnappings, abductions in school. For instance, in Kebbi State, he's asked that the Minister of State for Defense, Bello Matawale, who was once the governor of Zamfara State, that was also plagued by terrorism and banditry, go be present, stationed in Kebbi State. What do you think about such interventions? Are they sufficient enough? So this is in addition to the recruitment of 30,000 police personnel, the pulling out of police officers from VIPs and politically exposed persons. To what extent do you think these interventions would work? And what is the president not doing yet that he ought to be doing with regards to addressing the security concerns?
The decision to send some dramatis personae of the Nigerian state, public office holders, to some locus inco, as it were, some theaters of issues of national security, are cosmetic. And when you really want to deal with national security discourses, you must obey the legal and policy frameworks. For example, there was no need for a minister to leave Abuja to go there if truly we have proper governance structure and statecraft operations in place. And how do I mean? An incident occurred in Kebbi State at a particular location called Maga. You have the divisional police officer. You have the local government offices of the state services, security services. Ideally, these offices are supposed to send in their reports, in the case of the police, to the area command to the state command, and then ultimately from the state command, two reports emerge. One goes to the AIG in charge of that zone, and then the other one comes straight to the Inspector General of Police at the Eagle Room. They will be seeing it there. And incidentally, we now have something at the National Security Advisor's Office, which is a multi-agency interactive and integrated situation room. That same report must be there. Ideally, if all those levels of reporting and strategic multi-tiered intervention had been taking place, we would have been able to do a decisive thing. But again, it is simply because we are failing. And you can cross-check, and I ask and I plead with you to send your security correspondent to investigate this. Many are times when some of these security breaches occur, the divisional police officer, the divisional crime officer are usually not within the jurisdiction. If that is the case, those are the issues that you are supposed to be dealing with. So you do not just ask for a minister to relocate. When the minister or the service chief relocates, everything will be done in a cosmetic manner. And all of us are very familiar that in the last 10 years, we have had situations where the president commander-in-chief, that is the incumbent in the case of Buhari, and even the current one, they will ask these officers to go to those jurisdictions where there have been problems. It is either they do not go. A certain Idris Putum, as Inspector General of Police, did not go to Benue. He only stayed in Nasarawa. When we had the unfortunate incident in Benue again, when the IG was supposed to go, he did not really move, but waited until the commander-in-chief was on site. And painfully, all they had was a banter. Now, in the real sense of it, what we are supposed to do is to start emphasizing the need to ensure that the police do what they are supposed to do based on the provisions of the Police Act. When they do all they are supposed to do, and this is the reason why they are now saying, oh, it is partly because we do not have enough men on ground. Yes, if you do not have enough men on ground, we need to do the correct thing. Release those people that are doing VIP protection. We welcome that. However, that is not just a good good thing to continue to do. It's just a stopgap measure. To recruit 30,000, I clap for them and I appreciate them. But unfortunately, before these 30,000 men that will be recruited can actually functionally serve in the police, you will be talking of minimum of 6 months to 9 months before they can graduate. Let us assume that they successfully recruit them today. They cannot be deployed. But again, if you are really interested, the national security strategy of the Nigerian state says all of government, all of society. The question is, are you really interested? And this is where it becomes very painful to some of us. The incumbent chief of staff to this president commander-in-chief, Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, presided over a summit that came up with recommendations in 2021, and you would have expected that by now what this certain Femi Gbajabiamila would have done using the good offices of being chief of staff is just to produce a memo, an advisory memo that he can present to his principal that should have been discussed at the National Security Council. If some of the recommendations of that particular summit are being implemented in the last 910 days that this government has been in office, we should not be talking about some of these issues.
Absolutely. And like you rightfully say, we've had several forums that have held discussions, solutions have been preferred, but it's for some reason it's not translating. Now, one element that has reared its head in this is, of course, the geopolitical element, given the status of the region with our neighbors, and then, of course, with some of the international players who are now involved, the United States and so forth. Unfortunately, it has made this security crisis fertile ground for conspiracy. And I'm so glad we have somebody of your caliber to help us to pick this apart. And I just like to understand, from a geopolitical perspective, what do you think is real with regards to forces that are at play and exacerbating our situation here in Nigeria? And what should the focus be?
Thank you, Vimbai, for the question. The most important thing we need to understand when you want to bring the discourse and dynamics of geopolitics onto the table when you're discussing national security is for you to appreciate the fact that the Constitution is very mindful, and that is why I'm emphasizing that the incumbent administration and successive ones, particularly the immediate past one, are not failing to obey the Constitution. You will discover that the crafters of the Constitution said that the ministers of Interior and Foreign Affairs are part of the Security Council. I challenge you. I want you to ask how many times as a Minister of Interior and the Minister of Foreign Affairs participated in Security Council or security discussions in the State House. Now, going further, a certain delegation is now in the United States discussing, and unfortunately, from the data they produced and gave to us, the Director General of the National Intelligence Agency is not included. Ideally, that ought to have been. And you are not supposed to have an advisor to the President Commander-in-Chief leading a delegation that is comprised of a minister. At best, the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs that is on that delegation should actually have led that delegation. So when you have a government or a system that is operating in aberration of the constitutional and legal and policy frameworks of the Nigerian state, will always have these issues. You're talking about the fact that there is geopolitical dimensions and then international forces. Nigeria belongs to ECOWAS, the African Union, United Nations, Commonwealth, Lake Chad Basin. And each of these entities have what is called the peace and security architecture that are very detailed and important. And there are some protocols and principles, one of which is the responsibility to protect, which allows the global system, the international community, to say you need to act based on your own constitution for the security and safety of your people. You must not allow mass criminal atrocities to be committed without being interrogated. And that is why you have the R2P, which allows, again, for member states of the global community to intervene if need be. Now, when you look at the need for the Interior Ministry and the Foreign Affairs to participate in the security, it means that they will be coming with analysts and reports of these analysts that will come to show clearly how do we manage the fact that Nigeria belongs to the Saharan conflict system. And when you are able to see that clearly, you see that there is a need for you to transcend and understand how to relate with all these issues. The main thing that we are dealing with is that the incumbent administration, unfortunately, is not allowing itself to be governed properly and advised in such a way that they will manage these issues. Hopefully, I'm hoping that after this kind of intervention, we will have a recalibration and not a situation where the information managers of the presidency and the Ministry of Information are the one that will be gathered.
Dr. Fagbemi, I mean, I buy your point completely that the composition of that meeting was a bit, disturbing. The Minister of Defense is available. Why was he not there too? The Minister of Interior is available. Why was he not there too? So, but the presidency can just say, well, it wasn't meant to be a national security meeting. It could well have been a strategy meeting with persons of the choice chosen by the president himself. And then even the team to the US, led by a national security advisor. I mean, that's the NSA is an advisor to the president. So it looks like the presidency taking over, almost all the functions. It could have been led by ministers. Ministers were sent there as persons following an advisor. So the Americans, they will have noticed that. But all of that, we hope that, the more knowledge that they acquire as they stay in office, the more they will correct some of these omissions. But let me ask you talked about recalibration. How do we recalibrate? How do we address the urgent problems before us now? The way forward.
Going forward, the most important component of services delivery, and in your opening statement, you talked about people you branding some labels and concepts, national security, defense management architecture. The architecture are the legal and policy frameworks that allows you to understand that you have these entities, about 60 odd entities that have one thing or the other to do with national security and defense management. The most important is we need to now start talking about national security and defense management services delivery. To appreciate this, I'll just talk about policing. Policing is a triad. You have statutory police component of it, and then you have the informal neighborhood watch policing, and then you have the quasi, and that is where you have the paramilitary and the Nigerian security and civil defense, and all those components of private security outfits. It is time for us to begin to interrogate and integrate how we can bring a seamless cooperation, and as such, ensure that the provisions of the National Security Strategy are followed to the letter. The provisions of the Nigerian Police Act is obeyed. I'll give you a good example. When incidents occur and people die, Regulation 420 of the Nigerian Police Act subsidiary regulation says that this must be properly documented. The unfortunate aspect of it is that many of these are not properly documented, and that is why we can have government officials trying to discourage people from saying this is the demography that was most affected. It is not whether a demography was it is the fact that you can immediately see that these individuals that were killed were victims of crimes and criminalities. I'll give you a simple understanding of the need to obey the legal and policy frameworks. Some people went into a school. That means that was a criminal trespass. When they got into the school, for them to force their way through, they attacked the security gate man that was there and injured or killed. And then they killed a principal, vice principal in another school. That in itself shows that they are criminally trespassing. Based on the criminal and penal codes, these people must be investigated and brought to book. When they now pick children, we have the law that talks about the fact that you are either doing kidnapping, and since minors are now involved, the Child Abuse Act now becomes relevant. It therefore means that when you are dealing with violent extremism, you cannot so moto wake up one day and say you are granting amnesty without first trying these individuals after profiling them for the crimes and criminalities they have committed. And if it is true that some of these characters have ended up being integrated back to the society and to the extent of being absorbed into the Nigerian army or the armed forces as it were, that means we are already on a time bomb. And there is no guarantee that the 30,000 policemen that are to be recruited are going to end up not coming from that same constituency. Should that be the case, and the geopolitics that Vinbag was wanting me to talk about, when you now start looking at it from the angle of the global terror networking and the dynamics of extremism that is prevalent, and we're now having ISIS, ISWAP, you're having all this Boko Haram, you'll begin to see that we are going to end up, if care is not taken, recruiting some of these characters that have criminal tendencies into the police. Should we do that, then we can as well talk about the fact that there was a country like Chinua Achebe wrote in a book.
What?
Yes, that is it. You see, a lot of things is going on. We know this is not the time for people to play politics with everything. This is a time of humanity. People need to think about the life that have been lost so far. Think about humanity, not play politics with human life. Do you understand? No life is what died for Tinubu's government or APC government. Do you understand? So we need to be careful whatever we're doing, whatever we're saying, especially the APC member. Because when you speak or when you say something, you are not talking to APC members alone. You are talking to millions of Nigerians, over 220 millions. And these members are not APC members. They are not just APC members. They are not only APC members. We have different political parties. And everything you say, people are going to fact check you. You need to be direct. You need to be straightforward. You need to be factual in whatever you are saying. But today, that is the major problem we are having. APC member, they are not even ready to change. Because how do you explain to me that this is what we have been saying before? How do you explain to me that 52, because I did a video before when I said that when this news came out, how do you explain to me, to a sensible Nigerians, that 52 girls, or they said 2, later 52, escaped from 315 students that were kidnapped from kidnapper in the forest? And these are not even adults. Some of them, they are not adults. So how do you explain they escape in the bush? They find their way back to the school. How? How? It's not possible. I don't think so. And again, those ones you say you rescue, you say you didn't pay any money. Yet federal government is not going to tell you that they pay money to ransom, so that you don't see that you don't see their weak point, that they are weak, they are this. Those students, according to the people, they were not kidnapped. They were not among those that were kidnapped. They were hiding within the school premises. There was when everywhere calmed down, those people came out on their own. They were not kidnapped. They were not among those that were kidnapped. That's that. And for the other one, they said they didn't pay. This is here. It was the last time when they kidnapped those girls. They said they didn't. You see, a lot is going on. A country where you release people, you so assure it be for them. You say you don't pay a dime. Later we realize that they pay a ransom. They pay millions of naira or even dollars they pay to them. This money is a lucrative business for them, and they are not coming. Who is going to pay for the logistics? Do you know how many weapons, how many this thing they wasted for that Kwara State incident in church evasion? Do you know how much they spent on that operation? Do you know how many vehicles they said they came to Niger Delta, that school, St. Mary Primary Private Secondary School? Do you know how many vehicles they came with? At the end of the day, they waste all those money, everything they put together, the logistics. So nobody, you're not going to pay for them, and you rescue them. Now, talking about rescuing these people. You rescue them without paying a dime. And nobody, none of those kidnappers, none of those terrorists, none of those banditry, none of them have been arrested. None of them. For you to say you rescue these people, you did not pay a dime. But as you arrest them, as you rescue them, you arrested some of these people alongside with the rescue of these girls. We understand. And no life was lost. You don't alive anybody. So because they see you guys are coming, they left those girls. And they left those girls, and those people now, the terrorists, they ran away and leave the girls. So you guys were able to rescue those girls in the bush. You drive down from the bush to the town, and these people did not attack anybody. Nobody from the military or the rescuer team, nobody lost his or her life. The banditry, nobody was arrested, and no life was lost in the band. So now, come on, I'm too big to believe in that. They pay money to them. If I thought they rescued them, money, ransom was paid. And if you continue to pay ransom to these people, you are not helping matter. You are just pushing the evil day forward. Because we have been doing this now, that's why it is not like this. It's not a lucrative business. A lot of persons now venture into this business because it's paying them. Do you understand? So when it started gradually, you don't pay ransom to them because you want to make peace, read this and that. All those things are nonsense. El-Rufai, he said before you can pay bandit, but now he's saying again that you don't need to pay bandit. The only language of a bandit, a repentant bandit, is to unlife them. That is the only way you can solve the problem. You don't give shelter to banditry. You don't give shelter. You don't rehabilitate them and reintegrate them back to the society, and even recruit them back to the armed forces, military. So doing that, it's just a time bomb. This man said it's a time bomb waiting to explode. Is what is happening today, because all this started play because of the kind of leadership we have. They don't care because it does not affect them. It becomes a problem. They gives opportunity, logistics to these people, logistics to these people to come and operate in a fertile ground, which the government is complicit. It doesn't care about the people as far as it does not affect them. Now it's not like this. Play was like this. Now it is like this. So it is not very easy to solve this problem now. And the problem that is not in foreign attention, Donald Trump has to remind us the level of insecurity, Christian genocide going on in Nigeria before our government could even sit up to know that something is happening in this country. Now, talking about these issues, they are not even saying that there is even issues. There is Christian genocide. There is issues going on. Now they said, just for you, me and you to agree, foreigners to agree there is no Christian genocide going on. It means that once every one of us agrees that there is no Christian genocide going on, it means that the problem is solved. Meanwhile, the kidnapper has not been arrested, has not been dealt with. No. Now Sheikh Gumi is there telling us that we need bandits to guide our forest against ISWAP and other. How can you give your border for another group of terrorists to guide them? So we should be paying this money. We should be paying this group of terrorists to protect the forest against another terrorist. How does that sound to you? And now the government is busy looking away from Gumi, allowing Gumi, Sheikh Gumi, to do whatever he's doing, saying he's typical example that the government does not have political will to deal with this issue, insecurity we are talking about. Sheikh Gumi is saying that the latest bomb he just released, dropped now, that the federal government should include terrorist budget into national budget. They should be giving terrorists allocation so that peace can reign. Can you imagine? Now Tinubu should borrow more money now so that they can give to bandits, so that they can guide the forest. Can you imagine how foolish people becomes in this country? Just imagine that now. According to Dr. Abati, we say terrorists does not deserve even a jollof rice. You don't pity them. These people do not have human sympathy. They don't have it. So whenever you are dealing with them, you don't need to pay, you don't need to have pity, have mercy on them. They don't have mercy. These people are cause havoc, chaos in this country. They cause pain, sorrow to this country. Yet when you have the opportunity, you can't do anything. The individual, this group of terrorists is now powerful than the government and armed forces of this country. How does it sound to you? It doesn't make any sense. We now have a country. We now have a country where bandit is now dictating for military what to do. Military are now aiding foreigner. For terrorists, they now attend. They say wedding. Military terrorists are now wearing uniform, so military uniform with the same military personnel that we know. They now work together, put on the same uniform to attend the wedding. Meanwhile, the military who is looking to fight them, who we sent to go and fight them, they work together. They attended the same wedding together. They attended the same peace deal talk together. Whenever they finish, they allow them to go inside the bush, wherever they stay. They live there. They live there. They attend the same wedding. They go military. We saw military clearing road for them, aiding for them to pass, so that they will not have problem issues with another set of military who are not aware of what is going on. Now, sometimes when some governors speak, you want to pity them that they don't know what is going on, they don't know what they are doing. How can the governor say who gave order? Who gave order for this military to withdraw from the base they were appointed, because they have an intel that these people were coming to strike. Immediately somebody gave order for them to leave that place. 20 minutes or 30 minutes later, these people came, they strike, they made away with these people. Yet those military that were assigned to that place, they left there. Somebody asked them to leave. You cannot charge them. Up till now, they are not being arrested. They are not being questioned, so that they will explain who gave them order, so that you can go after that person who ordered them to live there. Because they are all politics. Like this, we are not going anywhere. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. All we want is, we want to live a country, we want to live in a peaceful environment, in a country where everybody can sleep and close their eyes, do their businesses. Even if government do not provide jobs and all those things for us, we are strong of creating jobs, creating whatever we want to do for ourselves. We just need a safe environment to do our little businesses. Do you understand? Please share this video and subscribe, follow for more.